everyone, this is Claudia and welcome to the final presentation of my project, a pop-up bar and shop for Merchant's Heart. In this video, we'll go through the research that inspired my design. We'll look at some zoning and planning that help to decide the more efficient layout. We'll look at the sketch models that helped me to represent the structural ideas I had. And finally, we'll look at the SketchUp model as well that helps to visualize in 3D the final layout chosen. We'll look at the construction method and the materials chosen for the temporary space. And we will look at mostly as well at the sustainability that was implemented into the design with some sustainable materials chosen for the structure of the pop-up. And finally, through the technical drawings, the floor plan and the section, we will understand the final design. And with the photorealistic images, we will really have a completely deep understanding of the atmosphere and how the space will feel like for the visitors once inside the pop-up. Hope you will enjoy this presentation. Let's get started now. After receiving the brief, the research was conducted starting from the client and trying to analyze their products, and it emerged that this company is very unique, offering a product that allows every drink to be special because of its hollow middle tones. So every cocktail can taste better, and the spirit won't disappear. Looking at the website also of Merchant's Heart, it's very colorful, and there are also some very nice simple recipes that people can do at home, and very fresh and with lots of fruits ingredients. Looking at the history of the company, it emerged that they're very keen on simplicity and humility because of the pioneer that was, even if he built a very huge company, he was very humble. And the company still relies on this, on his motto. But also they want to bring in a more playful and beauty as well, because their mantra says actually the made with a beacon user, which means made with a sense of playful and imagination, which is something that really inspired the design that I'll show very soon. Looking at the logo, it's very simple, mixing a modern font and a more classical one, really bringing to fuse these two worlds, the Western and the Eastern world. The color palette is very soft, with pastel colors. So very trendy as well. Looking at their marketing, the Instagram account, it emerged that the customers are young professionals, people that are very trendy, a bit chic as well, and they really look for something different. Looking at from the analysis of the competitors, it emerged that mostly Fever Tree, one of their biggest competitors, is a company that is a bit more transparent about the origins of the ingredients. So this pop-up could be something really important for the company to show more about this aspect. Looking at some venues where the company sells the products, it really confirmed that this is a product that is very trendy, and this is what inspires some of the locations where the pop-up can be installed, like Food and Drink Festival, for example, Taste of London, and the Boutique Music Festival, where people are a bit more curious, they want to try something different and something new, like Wilderness Festival in Oxfordshire. So the first consideration from the initial research is that this company is very stylish, chic, and trendy. So this is something that has been taken in consideration for their design. Looking at more aspects about the structure and the space, temporary space is a very unique, because we must taking in consideration the construction, that has to be quite simple, how everything can be transported. So the precedents inspired actually that the materials considered must be very light. They can also be recycled, upcycled, and it emerged from the research about presence that also the use of color can be very significant to attract the attention from the client, from the customers passing by, and forms can be also very important to make the structure still simple to transport, but eye-catching. Looking at sustainability and the main causes and what can be done for a more sustainable future, definitely materials are very important. Mostly materials that don't need to be cladded so much, recycled materials, sustainable like cork, timber. So it was a very important moment of the research. Mostly looking at sustainable temporary projects, really confirm that there can be something done very simple but still eye-catching, and even flat packing can be very efficient way to construct a temporary structure. A display can be done only with cranes. So all this part of the research really try to give ideas to the final structure. Also looking at new technologies, they are very important, because even with simple algae can be done something very extraordinary. So everything really try to give ideas to the final structure. Looking at the Japanese style, it really confirmed that in this culture the materiality is very important, with neutral and with neutral palette, and very natural materials. So this is something that has been also taken into consideration. Finally, looking at how to engage visitors was very important. Visitors needs to be understood very well, and their interests, and how to increase their curiosity. And for for merchants' hearts, we can say that these visitors really like their visitor like to socialize, to seek new experiences and entertainment. This is something that has been taken into consideration for the function of the pop-up. Also looking at social trends in the retail industry after the pandemic, it emerged that customers wants to be more active, to do things on their own. They're used now to do things at home, and they surely wants to be empowered by retail companies. And also they are very keen on sustainability. So these aspects is what really inspired the function that I'll explain soon. Looking at the regulation, it was very important to consider the fire safety, so the fire exit and the distances. It was important to construct also an accessible ramp, and the measurements has been taken into consideration, as well the height and the width of the accessible counter for the bar and the shop, and also looking at the conservation part, it was important to think about renewable sources for the energy system of the pop-up. And finally, it was important also to consider the economics and the anthropometrics to make the space accessible and the good circulation inside the space. So this is the final research report that I produced at the end of this process. So after the research was concluded, the concept was developed, which wants to be the representation of merchant's art products mixers, which brought to the idea of camouflages, like the chameleon, and its spiral tail brought to a more creative idea of a spiral which creates optical illusions of movement. Movement are also something that brought to trendy, because trends are very quick and seasonal. So this made me think that this could be an idea that can be that can really reflect the company. From the spiral and the movements, I came to an even more creative idea of a world with lots of contortion and disorientation, like the representation that we see in Alice in Wonderland, which is what brought me to the final concept, which is fantasy twist, which wants to represent a playful environment with lots of optical illusions made with mirrors, and something that can really increase the curiosity of the visitors passing by, which is something that was also researched a little bit, and which also what inspired the function of the space, because which is something I'll explain soon. So this is the after the first the first draft of the concept, the images really brought to life this idea, and brought me also to some images of the golden rush or Fibonacci, with this spiral motion is what actually inspired the circulation and the layout, which I'll explain soon. And some images about fantasy worlds. Is what inspired a bit the journey that people would do inside the pop-up, and especially the color palette. So this is the final concept statement of fantasy twist for Merchant's Heart. Moving on from the concept statement, the design development was initiated with some design principle taken into consideration into the space, like repetition and rhythm. And for different test models, some ideas were made into practice with openings and closings and the spiral motion. And finally, one last test model revealed to be very, very prominent, with some straws representing the twist, and very colorful and playful shapes, which was then brought into a more detailed drawing with some analysis of how it can be constructed. And finally, one final idea was finalized, And after looking at the functions, so how the pop-up can be inviting, how can attract the visitors from outside, and what kind of function there will be inside, like sitting, standing, the counter, and the recipe display. One final test model was produced, and this was what actually inspired the final layout and the final shape of the pop-up. A precedent with twisted shapes from Anthony Gaudí also gave the inspiration for how the place and the structure will look at the end. Finally, looking at the construction method was really important because it has to be very lightweight and transportable. So the whole structure is constructed on a platform of plywood with a timber frame on top, cladded with carbon tubes that will give the round shape to the timber. And one structure will be rounded where the storage will be, and it will be supportive as well of the idea of this distorted world. And finally, there will be a canvas on the rooftop in case of rain, and sheets of acrylic will be applied to color and to make the mirrors as well. Zoning and template planning was considered next to understand how the space can work inside for every kind of visitor, considering therefore also accessibility, anthropometry, and ergonomics, and what the staff in the bar need in the behind the counter and underneath the counter. So after this consideration, the preferred template was chosen and transported into SketchUp, where in 3D the space could be analyzed in a better way. From the SketchUp, dimensions of the ramp were tested, and finally the most suitable ramp was produced inside the delimited area. Finally, looking at the lighting, texture, and color, one of the collage images inspired what will be the rug inside the space, and the color palette of the pop-up is inspired by the branding palette of Merchant's Heart. Decorative lighting was implemented for a more cozy atmosphere in the evening with floor and table lamps, and task and general lighting will be concealed in the timber frame. A lighting plan was developed to understand how the lighting can work inside, and it was tested finally inside the SketchUp model. After the first feedback about the technical drawing, a correct calculation for the ramp was produced, and the entrance was slightly moved to allow the customers to enter directly towards the bar. So this is the final floor plan for the pop-up with the access through a ramp for everyone, some table to enjoy the drinks while standing, a bespoke sitting area, the bar counter with a part dedicated to disabled people. On the left-hand side, the shop where they can buy the ingredients. At the bar counter, they are able to learn how to make the cocktails by themselves, following the easy recipes on the website of Merchant's Heart. And following their circular motion, they can then access the exit again. And the staff will find the storage that is closed for the public. Here are some of the sections of the space showing the bar and the shop area, and some visuals showing the structure of the pop-up from the outside and from the inside, where we can see the bar and the shop a little further, and we can see the optical illusions provided by the mirror in the storage area and on the outside of the sitting area and the counters of the bar. We can also see the playful structure in the evening rendering, where we see the atmosphere that is brightened up by the floor and table lamps. In the final poster, we can see how the materials are brought together to compose this innovative structure. and as well we can see the palette of the colors, very soft and pastels, and we can see some of the inspirational images and the final floor plan and section. So I hope you enjoyed this presentation and that you find this pop-up inspiring and very functional to be transported in different locations in the UK and to attract a lot of new visitors and loyal visitors to try the unique cocktails provided by Merchant's Heart mixers. Thank you very much for your attention. Bye.